Well, hello folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you, and let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up that screen. Humbl finally got that S1 approved. They've been trying to get it approved for months and months now. I think this is their 7th attempt, and it finally got through. It's not their fault. The SEC wasn't sure what to do with Humbl. The blockchain sort of confuses them, I think. And we also found out some very good news. We're not in a recession. I thought if we had 2 quarters in a row with negative growth in the GDP, that was a recession. That's what I'd been taught back in the 80s in school at UT. But it turns out that's not the case. If you have 2 quarters in a row with negative GDP growth, that's not a recession. It's something else. And actually, there's a government spokesman here to explain it to you.
Who am I kidding? I'm the owner of NBC. And I've been asked to clear up some of those beautiful rumors about...
Yep, you heard it right from the horse's mouth. No recession, so don't even worry about it. It's just crazy old rumors. And here's the actual document on OTC. As you can see here, the SEC, effective date July 27th, Form S1. So it is notice of effectiveness. And Humbl has very much come out of their quiet period. They're chirping quite a bit. We've seen Brian Foote now 3 times with updates, and they're tweeting a lot. And then George Sharp, of course, has been tweeting a lot too. We'll get into him in a minute. You can see here, this was just 2 hours ago. They'll be meeting with Miles Garrett about the NFT collection. And they've submitted their proposed pilot program, their architecture, to the County of Santa Cruz for their internal review and consideration about a wallet. And of course, you know, they just got done with their wallet, so that's why it took this amount of time to get that to the County of Santa Cruz. And here's where they're announcing, says we're happy to announce that our S1 registration statement's now effective. Said it's a significant milestone for our company, and we look forward to the next chapter of the journey ahead. And here they were talking about the Humbl wallet, which was okayed through Apple, and they already had it through the Google store. And here's all their little progress updates. Like I said, we got about 3 real quick from Brian Foote, so that was real helpful. Here's where, like I said, he's really been out in front, and he's really been tweeting a storm up about Humbl. Says we're happy to announce the S1. Of course, he put on his Twitter the S1 registration statement, and then he put Humbl is now an SEC fully reporting company. The Humbl S1 has just been deemed effective. It says, I would not be surprised if the banks are already working on crypto asset custodianship and exchange. Then watch what happens to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then he said, if you think that Humbl's share price suffered as a result, watch COIN. Still, in my opinion, the SEC will get educated and Humbl will take its rightful place as a leader in the blockchain, NFT, and crypto platform world. Then he talked about, this was back on the 26th, said this is why Humbl had to suspend the ETXs. If you remember, this was a few months ago. The SEC got on them about it because, and then it says the SEC came to Humbl before Coin because of the S1 filing and why it took so long to get approved. The SEC does not understand that Humbl does not take custodianship of the assets. Can't speak for Coin. And there he's referring to Coinbase having an SEC probe over cryptocurrency listings. And here he said, in my opinion, every public blockchain-related company is going to owe Humbl a debt of gratitude for being the SEC's guinea pig. And here he retweeted, very proud of Humbl team and investors for helping to make history on the OTC. That was from ARK Invest. And as you know, George Sharp's heavily involved with Humbl and has quite a few warrants with them as well. I think those are at 20 cents though, so I don't know how many were actually sold. And of course, whenever any of those are sold, that actually helps Humbl because they get 20 cents of whatever is sold. And if it's, you know, if it's 25, for example, they'd get 80 cents on a dollar. Now, I don't know how many of those were sold prior to it being above 20 cents back in the day, but it had to be between December 3rd and probably January 3rd when it was above that 20 cent threshold. And as you can see here, Humbl's had a really good month. It got as low as under 5 cents back on July 5th. So that was almost a month ago. And let me put in that support because that's pretty obvious right there. And then it ran all the way up very quickly to almost 10 cents, basically 100% run up. And now it's just been sort of going back and forth. Right now it's sitting at 8.5 cents. So it's had a real nice run. It needed it. Good grief. It's had such a bad year, like almost every OTC stock. But it's nice to see that it is making somewhat of a comeback. It needs to make a big comeback. When we look at the security details, you can see the outstanding shares are at 1.62 billion. And back before December 3rd, they were around 900 million. So we've had quite a bit of dilution. And I think a lot of that has been the angel investors. You know, they had to hold off on selling any shares until December 3rd. And obviously they've sold quite a few. I don't know how many Humbl has sold to raise money. You know, obviously we'll find out in the next quarterly report, which I would expect about mid-August. So until that time, we won't know how much money they have on the balance sheet. We know their burn rate. Based on their first quarter, and I'm talking about cash burn rate. I'm not talking about this stock-based compensation, which is considered an expense. It dilutes the crap out of us, but it's not cash flow. The costs I'm concerned about, developmental costs, professional fees. I'm not concerned about goodwill. I am concerned about general administrative. So about $4.5 million minus the $600,000 in profit. So they're burning through about $1 to $1.5 million per month. So their balance sheet, depending on how many shares they sold, have probably been burned up. They'd probably be around $1 million unless they have sold some shares during that time. And I would assume they have, but like I say, we won't know till August. So I've told you before, I'm just holding this stock. It's down so much, there's no point in me selling at this point. I'm just hoping it makes some sort of a comeback over the next 12, 18 months, something along those lines. And I probably will dollar cost average at some point, but with that reverse split kind of hanging over this stock, I'm a little bit concerned about it. I think it was George Sharp actually who said, there was a likelihood of that. And I've not heard anything different from him. If I missed it, comment to me. Maybe he's commented about it and I missed it on his Twitter. But as of right now, until that occurs, I'm not going to do anything because a reverse split. Now, granted, this is a different reverse split than the first one. Okay, everybody will participate in this one, including the insiders and the angel investors. Anybody that owns a share, preferred or whatever, will be reverse split, same as we would as common shareholders. That wasn't the case the first time, as you know. I believe their shares were multiplied by 10,000 and ours were cut by a 4-to-1. But that won't be the case in this one. But still, reverse splits are normally bad for a stock, certainly for the share price. It may not be bad for the company, but it's bad for the share price. And there is a difference between the two. But this is good news, getting that S1 approved. Like I said, the SEC, they struggle with blockchain. They're not sure how to handle it and those assets. So I'm glad to see this get approved. And hopefully over time, Humbl will get that share price back up. Like I said, the Search 3.0 looks pretty good, and they're making a heck of a lot of progress on that and the wallet. So hopefully we'll start seeing some advertising revenue come in for them because they need as much revenue as they can get. And Brian Foote said they've been cutting back on their expenses to try to slow down that burn rate because he doesn't want to burn through too much money right now. This is the growth phase of a company, and they're going to lose money for a while. We might as well just know that. So the less they lose, the better. They won't have to raise as much money, won't have to go into debt very much, or they won't have to sell as many shares. I'm sure he's trying not to sell shares if he can help it, but there's going to be some dilution to continue. All right, folks, and that's just a quick update on Humbl. And that S1 being approved is a nice positive thing. And like I said, it's been a good month for Humbl. Hopefully, over time, slowly this stock will start coming back. And at some point, hopefully, we'll get past this reverse split if it happens or if it's not going to happen. If it's not, I'd like to know that too. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover Humbl. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Mr. Frugal Investor.